You know?
I am dependent on chemicals. I'm not gonna.
Yeah.
I mean, I could. Could I live without it? Of course, I could. But why would I?
Right.
Why would I do that? Um, we're here to talk about your book,
All right.
Where Pop Stars Go to Die. Uh, I read it in one sitting.
Really?
Very, yeah, very. When it gets going, it gets going.
Yeah.
And that was there when it hits. That the tension, really good. Definitely suggest if you're. Hey, before we get any further, go get it. Go read it, listeners, watchers, viewers, whatever you are, audience. Um, I have questions for you.
Nope.
I have questions for you about it. Some one is specifically just for my own edification, but other is more broader questions about it. Um, Phoebe, I'm going to call her Phoebe. I'm not going to call her Taylor Swift. There is the
Yeah.
clear analog there,
Yeah.
but there is also a clear delineation at some point where I'm like, this is no longer it's a very fun premise. I can't argue it. Like it's just like that perfect. Yes, Taylor Swift is Final Girl,
Yeah.
really beautiful. Um, but and like some of these themes kind of do align between Phoebe and obviously I think our broad conception of Taylor Swift. But empowerment, female empowerment, that's the story of Phoebe's rise. Empowerment, like girl power. It's that the kind of the return of the Spice Girls ethos.
Yeah.
Um, and that becomes kind of her journey as she survives. Is like, can I use this to to not get brutally murdered? And she becomes more and more violent. She has to
Yeah.
live. And is that empowerment is the story, is that empowerment potentially dangerous because it can lead to this escalation, or is this violence simply kind of the endpoint of basically when someone like Phoebe threatening a system of power, a patriarchal system of power like a record company, uh and really like pop music and media in general, like when someone has that much sway, that much power.
So, what was the question there?
Sorry, I get lost in my own words.
Yeah.
Is it or is it both? Is basically is that empowerment and how much it will push you, and how much violence it can, and how much violence, like obviously by the end of this, Phoebe has also committed a lot of violence, and she at times is a little questionable about, oh no, who did I like, there's, are they innocent? How innocent are they? Are they innocent at all? Is it like, but at a certain point she has to defend herself, and is that violence that she commits, is that just a natural endpoint when she is threatening, she's threatening kind of a system because she has power. Her former record producer is basically someone she, I don't know the right verb for it, but it took over. She took his power from him basically, and now he strikes back. Is this just an endpoint for this, where these two things come to a head?
So that's a long-winded question, and I have an
Yes.
answer.
Okay.
But I'm just going to throw some things out there that kind of draw off this point. So when I was coming up with this premise, as a Taylor Swift fan, if that didn't come through in the book,
Yes, it
um,
does.
one thing I really love about her, not as a musician but as a person, her story. Phoebe parallels a lot of those beats throughout the real life Inspirations career. You've got the story with like Scooter Braun, who ends up becoming this guy who is an amalgamation of what the industry represents, not just in music, but like it could be Hollywood, it could be your Harvey Weinstein type of character, your P. Diddy, just your powerful or perceived powerful straight white male kind of character who has too much money, too much power, too much reach. You don't know where it starts or ends. And what was important to me was that Phoebe Fox she was never intended to be a victim in the writing. She was intended to be someone that the reader could relate to and see humanity above all. And when the action starts, I wanted it to feel like she's a cat in the corner. You never back someone into a corner because you don't know what they're capable of. And when you give her the tools and resources to be creative beyond just writing a catchy song, this is what you get.
It's, I mean, it it carries the there's always the part of me that is, I don't know. I don't know. I mean it's a good thing. I immediately wanted the sequel. I immediately want to see what does Phoebe become after this. I mean, it's a very traumatic experience, obviously. I'm trying to avoid spoilers.
Yeah,
I don't
I,
want to give away exactly what happens. Like, yeah, obviously your pitch is, yeah, Taylor Swift as final girl, and she is in mortal danger for the entire story, but that kind of stuff does change someone. And it is this, I don't know, she is pushed, right? It's that it is the response of, and I mean, like, I don't know, there's a point in me where I'm like, she is way more, I don't know, hesitant to commit to be defend herself than
yeah.
I would be in that same situation. uh
Well,
I
look
think
how
I'm
sweet
just,
she is, right? Like
that's the thing.
yeah,
I'm a mean person. I can't, I try and be as nice as I possibly can, but I think in part of me, that inside of me there is some very mean thing. And
yeah.
yeah, Phoebe doesn't have that. Phoebe's a nice, like, you she
A,
literally starts the story
a little
greeting
naive.
greeting these two young girls, make a wish girls, and it's just the sweetest, kindest thing. um but it is that I love the, I don't know, that overlay, that the parallel, and of the that, because she is a threat. She's just not a physical threat to
Yeah,
that, to those systems, right? To those men.
yeah.
And then in your story,
What?
she
So
is a
there,
physical threat.
yeah. Like when you talk about like her being like a threat to like the industry, and like there with that power in place, there's like almost an arrogance, right? Like they have so much money, so much reach, they're so connected that they can do whatever they want in the shadows, and they do it kind of arrogantly. And these systems, people know about it, people talk about it, but no one can confirm anything because there's enough money to keep things secret, and there's enough blackmail and things like that to keep the right people quiet. Um, that was something I found particularly interesting about the exhibit. And the exhibit is a premise that I'm real like. I know you mentioned a sequel. I don't know that I'm interested in writing a sequel, but I'm very interested in writing a companion piece that focuses more on the exhibit, just because in this story you follow Phoebe from her point of view, and in her point of view everything is immediate danger, so there's not a lot of room to explore beyond her right now. The exhibit, I really want to just really get into the makings and what makes that place turn,
I
because
mean, there's immediate. I mean, you can immediately spin a million. You could spin a million stories out of that place.
yeah,
There's so many. It has so much potential. Uh, I mean, there's immediate. I was thinking, there's, I don't know. There's a lot of, I was thinking Hostel. A lot of that kind of. There's, I don't know. There's lots of, in lots of different narratives. There's the, the deranged artist
yeah,
using a body as a, what is it, a canvas.
yeah.
Yeah, which it's
I
all
think
it's
the
always upsetting.
justification of like the language of like you place a bid on a human being, but you don't acknowledge them as a human being. You acknowledge them as an art installation. I'm going to use this canvas and do whatever I want with it, and my cuts and slices become brush strokes and splatters of paint, and that kind of language used with like the front that it's metaphorical, but it's quite literal.
Yeah,
Like
there's
it's almost
it's really upsetting. It just inherently, it's kind of upsetting because it's inherently kind of dehumanizing. It's,
yeah.
yeah, and like, I mean, it butterflies. It works with the idea of these rich, powerful people who can do whatever they want. They feel like
Mhm.
they can do whatever they want. There's no consequences.
I, I
Which
think that
is
makes for the worst kind of antagonist too, or like best kind of worst person, because
right.
the best antagonist is someone who believes what they're doing and they stand by it. And going back to just the arrogance of the patriarchy,
Right.
it's something
Um,
that appealed to me from the very beginning, and I knew like this is where I need to take this
where
story.
it has to go. Yeah. It
Yeah.
makes perfect sense. The social media posts, the found media that you kind of insert into the book, the documentary transcripts. I immediately thought of Carrie.
Yeah.
Um, I probably because this is Phoebe doesn't have telekinetic powers,
Yeah.
but she is. It is that kind of good for her kind of the trope with the a a, a theoretically weak, physically weaker female character suddenly getting their revenge. Um, is that connection intentional at all? Or is this just like, oh, it makes the journey feel more authentic? It gives us, it couches Phoebe's rise in like real world artifacts.
Um, so I wanted to really like center around like the pop culture theme of this, and I think adding that documentary in, like it really keeps her human, and it really keeps her story in perspective. And as those documentaries are progressing throughout, they really just highlight her journey of you know times that she was up against a wall, times that a man had control of her story, and then a time where she had an opportunity to take it back. All of her actual career stuff is paralleled by what's happening in the exhibit. So, she is dealing with extreme adversity, and then there's people in her way, and she has to overcome by, retelling her story. So it's, you take the inspiration of the very real pop star in her story and you spin it in the most morbid way, and you get an iteration of what Phoebe Fox became. Um, but yeah.
I mean, I like it. It's always like, I don't know. Those are the things that I always, when I'm reading something, it's like that the analytical writer part of my head where I'm like, well, okay, so he's choosing. You could easily just do those scenes in flashbacks. You could have from Phoebe's perspective
And
of
that's
doing those things.
that was kind of what I wanted to do. Was with that documentary, I found like this is a great vehicle to tell her story how the world sees her. So
Right.
this documentary is capturing people in her life on her rise, and you're seeing the interviews with these people and getting like very like confessional type of documentary style conversations, and seeing how people really feel about her, getting reactions to parts of her career, and all of this is dropped in while she's like fighting for her life in this terrible situation. And then um, I thought it was really important to like really think about if the biggest star on the planet just ghosted their tour, what is the world saying? And thinking like, what are people saying on social media? People are so quick to just jump on everything, and it doesn't take much for some bonehead to start a social media fire. Suddenly this narrative's going viral. And then you also think of, well, a lot of people love this person. This person's setting records worldwide at every stadium. They're selling out everything. They release an album, it sets records the day of. But then you think about how many people hate this person. And a lot of times this hate is just, oh, I see them too much. They're annoying. I hate them. What? Like, you can't even argue with that. It's just, so
I mean,
I really
it
wanted to
is.
capture that like duality of like, wow, like people hate so easily, and social media gives people a voice to just. It's so easy to just hate someone publicly and not really have to stand by it.
Again, no consequences.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's what the world lacks: consequences. Like,
I mean, I could social media. It's a it's a scourge. Is I've
social media is the equivalent of having your windows rolled up in the car while like road raging. Like,
Yeah.
not enough people are at risk of being punched in the mouth, and you know what I mean?
I mean, it's the I don't know. I think there I mean, even when you include it in your story, it has and it's the true of the documentary as well, even though the documentary is obviously crafted, it's more there's art in it, but there's always this remove of reality
Hmm.
because it is crafting a narrative just like is and it's like is that documentary really is that really Phoebe, right? Is that really any of the people that are being interviewed? And it's clear like I again that there's a spoiler in there a little bit that I would ask. Not everyone featured in the documentary is telling the whole truth. They are, and that's true of everything because Phoebe is. There's multiple characters in this where Phoebe is presented with what she thinks they are, because I think she inherently takes people as they come and is trying to be her most authentic self, and not everyone is that. And like when you include social media posts like those, again, it's like this, you don't know who these people are. They're basically completely anonymous, and but yet we take their opinion as if it's meaningful, as if it matters, even though they're just people shouting to the void.
Hmm.
Like they're not real. They're effectively not real, which is like ultimately what I say a lot about a lot of social media. It doesn't really exist. It doesn't do anything in the real world. It is it shouts into the void. But it is like again, it is that those I really appreciated like I feel like the documentary and the social media posts really elevate the again, it makes it feel authentic and it makes it adds to that like there's a lot of elements of isolation in this for Phoebe.
Yeah,
She's you start the book that way. She's on stage. Yeah, she has dancers, she has a band, but ultimately the focus is all on her. She's alone, and there's tens of thousands of people watching her. And ultimately, like as you travel with her, you never switch. The only perspective character is her. She is kind of alone. You know, alone even when she is with other people. She is kind of because of how famous she is and
yeah.
how singular she is. Like she can't help but be alone. Um,
I do want to kind of piggyback too. You were talking about the documentary. Another reason why I really liked going with that vehicle was when I was writing it, I felt like a lot of times this is too much. This is a lot. This is one to the next, and it's the tension just like I build it and then I just stay there. And
yes, it
I
is.
like
I said it. I read it in one. I read it in one go because you. I was like, I need to. I can't stop here.
the
I gotta release tension.
the documentaries were intended also as this would be a great way to just breathe. This is an organic stopping point.
Yeah.
My debut novel, I had gotten that complaint with the pacing was they felt like they couldn't breathe. Like I've heard that from multiple people. So that was something I kind of like put. I wanted to make sure like, well, if I'm doing this, I want to do it with intention. I want it to be multi-purposed, and I want it to feel authentic. I don't want to just make a documentary. And the reviews have been great for the book overall, but I'd say the most common thing that people kind of nitpick is like, oh, that documentary. Like, it seems to get mixed reactions. Like, as a reader, I would have loved it, but some people were like, I could have done without that, or it was too much. And it's like, well, it's not going
I,
to be for everybody, and that's fine. But it does serve a purpose, and there's a reason that it's there.
yeah, and it does really. It does give you a little a breather.
Yeah.
I don't know. I reviews are people are can't please people. It's I don't. It's the if you want to again talking about social media, you can't people. I don't know. I'm a I generally am very positive about books, even books that I don't entirely enjoy. I would go, well, there's still really this thing and it was really good. This thing was really good.
There's always
But I
something
mean
to
that
learn.
yeah, exactly. And but I mean I'm a writer, we're writers, so it's very much like I'm some of it's always homework. It's always like, oh, what can this book teach me? What can I add it to my own skill set? But I don't know. I thought the documentary stuff was again, it was a breather, and it did felt it because you start pretty close to the action. Like it's not very long before we're on the ride,
Yeah.
and you don't get like sure it's all well and good to say oh it's Taylor Swift, right? It's just you can just append what you think in your head. Taylor Swift, this is Phoebe is that, but by adding that documentary I think it does give Phoebe her own like at a certain point it was no longer I was not picturing Taylor Swift in my head anymore. I was
Yeah,
picturing
she definitely takes on a different dimension of herself.
right.
Yeah.
She's Phoebe.
She is Phoebe.
She's Phoebe.
Phoebe Fox
Uh
is a badass.
yeah. I mean she is yes. It becomes uh 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 you know you get those again without spoiling you get those moments where you're like
Her
yes there
next
we go
album is
thing.
going to be a banger.
Yeah, I was gonna say I want to know what that the next thing is gonna my god what is how the it's gonna turn into like a Johnny Cash or something uh dark exploring the dark and grim
What is that?
depths of man.
What does that song look like after she survives all of this? Like what?
I don't know. That'd be it. That would be. I don't know. If speaking of sequels, the sequel might not be a horror, might not be really a horror book. Theoretically, it would be like a more
Yeah,
literary exploration of trauma.
I,
But
I've never been one to like I don't really have like series planned or anything, and I never write a book expecting to do a sequel. And when I do entertain the thought of it, it always ends up being like this is an interesting idea, but it's not a story I'm interested in telling.
yeah,
And
exactly.
I feel like that's the case with this, but I do feel like, as I mentioned before, the companion piece with the exhibit, I feel like would be just something fun to just like maybe I can try something new with some writing, and I like that's something I'm more interested in rather than like where her story goes because I think it ends at a good spot where you can kind of form your own conclusions.
Oh yeah. I
Yeah,
mean it's more the I mean it's what you want. It's
yeah,
what you want to leave people wanting more of what's going to happen next. But it's also the uh
it, it's
you
fun to
want it
talk about.
yeah, and you want that
Yeah,
question of like, oh, what happens to her next? I'm like, well, I'm not going to write her entire life.
yeah,
I'm not going to go tell you everything that happened. This is the moment this thing is you have this slice you can fill it in whatever you think happens, right? That's I mean I tell that to readers all the time. They're like what happens next? I'm like you tell me what
yeah,
happens next. I'm not gonna I don't have it. I didn't write it, so I don't know. Like I have my idea, but that's not the truth because I didn't write it down. It's not in the book.
yeah.
This is a question from my own edification, and this is not a spoiler because no one has context for it if they haven't read the book. There's a snow globe plays a significant part at the end of the book. Is that a reference to Citizen Kane?
I've actually never seen Citizen Kane.
Okay, then it's not a reference to Citizen Kane. Okay,
No, it was the snow globe was just supposed to represent the importance of the city within the snow globe to that moment.
right. Okay,
Yeah.
there's okay. Well, Citizen Kane, the snow globe features very significantly, and it's similar. It's
Okay.
similar motif a little bit. It's
So I'm a
it's
big
it.
fan of Conan O'Brien, and he regularly will reference Citizen Kane,
Yes,
and
Rosebud.
it's one of those movies. It's been on my list of movies I should have seen by now, and I think it being like a black and white film has kind of dampened my excitement to go out of my way for it.
It's a great movie. I
Okay.
mean, I would say this is my. I don't know if this is a hot take. I think it's the first great film, like the
Okay.
first great movie ever made.
That's
Like,
not the first time I've heard that.
yeah, and it is clear, and like it did. It's this podcast has turned into a Citizen Kane cast. It is. It is. There's things in it like ways it was made and how it was shot that never were done before. There were
Okay.
multiple basically Orson Welles invented modern cinema with like the next 50 years of cinema he invented it in that movie, and
Okay.
it's easy to watch it and go oh well I've seen all this stuff before because everyone on earth every movie after that used stuff from that movie to make movies, but it is actually genuinely a good movie. uh
Yeah.
so it is, I don't know. You don't need to watch it just because it has a snow globe in it, but it made me immediately think that because the snow globe is, it's, there's that,
I'm
it's
curious now for sure.
element of metaphor. It's not yes, and Conan O'Brien loves Citizen Kane. I love Conan.
Yeah,
I love The Simpsons. I love Conan, and
I'm actually
his
reading a book right now from Alan Siegel. It's called "Stupid TV, Be More Funny," and it's about the just like the creation of The Simpsons and the Fox becoming the fourth big network and all that stuff.
oh,
Um,
I should read that. That sounds
it,
good.
I'm about a third through it, and it's really interesting. And just a lot of like I grew up on The Simpsons, so I was a fan. I didn't have cable TV, so The Simpsons was like the premier thing I would watch in the evening. Um, yeah, but yeah, we're getting way off track with that.
I It's fine. That's
Yeah,
a okay.
yeah.
Um, I people should go read Where Pop Stars Go to Die.
Indeed.
It's a very, again, I'm not upset by nonstop tension. I'm fine with that. But also, like, the documentaries, I'm easy to please. I'm a mark.
I have a
Uh
question for you as someone who's read it recently.
yes.
Would you pitch this to someone else who's like, I need a book recommendation? Would you say this book is extreme horror or no?
No.
I wouldn't either,
I
but
would not either. That is, not to get off on a rant here, but it is the question I get a lot at conventions or when I'm at markets. People are like, I don't like that horror. It's too, there's like, but then they drop extreme horror. They talk about like Aaron Beauregard or something,
mhm.
and because they've seen that on TikTok, and I'm like, well, that's extreme horror. That's most horror novels. I don't know, unless you're like, I think extreme horror, when I think of it in my head, I think basically beginning to end, like, it is shocking you. It is like there's not moments to breathe. I think your book is a horror novel, and it has moments of pretty, high violence, but not it's not beginning to end that. Most of it is couched in very normal life, and Phoebe's journey into the exhibit, into the darkness or whatever.
Yeah, I find when I pitch this book, the pitch is, oh, imagine if you dropped Taylor Swift in Hostel,
Yeah.
and then people hear Hostel and they're like, oh, like, and then I don't really know what to do with that. I'm like, well, it's a suspense novel above all.
Yeah. Most of the horror in it is you're worried about what could happen to her, not what is happening to her. And she does see awful things happen to other people, or what has happened to other people. But I don't know. I don't get shocked by anything really, when it comes to gore or stuff like that. So
Yeah,
it's hard for me to judge sometimes, but I don't consider any of my books extreme horror. There are moments of a lot of gore in some of my books, but I
yeah,
just don't call it extreme horror. It's what, again, at a certain point it becomes marketing. Like, it is, again,
yeah.
it's whenever, I don't know, when people talk to me about genre, they're like, I don't read horror. I'm like, what, do you read thrillers? Yeah, I do. I'm like,
A lot of thrillers have a gray area though. That
yeah.
like, there's a book that I read last year called The Chain by Adrian McKenty. Horrifying premise about if you take the concept of a chain letter or a chain letter email and you add a child abduction to it, and the person on the other end of that chain email has to abduct a child to get their child back, and the
Oh
chain has
yeah.
to keep moving forward. Terrifying, absolutely horrifying. As a parent, like,
Yeah.
horrifying. But it's a thriller. Like, it rides that line, has a horrifying hook, but a very thrilling pace, and but in my mind, like, I so badly want to recommend that to horror lovers,
I
but
mean, you can. I don't know.
I do. But
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I read everything.
yeah,
I don't limit myself to any genre. I'll read literally, if something sounds interesting or someone goes, "This is a great book," I go, "Okay." I don't care what it is, romance, mystery, lit
yeah.
fic, whatever. We are out of time on the segment. Everyone should go get Where Pop Stars Go to Die. It's time for the second act. I'm going to ask you some broader bookish questions, starting with a question from my last guest, who is John Langan. His question for you is, what is your strangest inspiration?
Hmm. That is a very broad question. Strangest inspiration. This isn't something I've not said already, but it's not an answer I hear people elaborate on, and I think it's just something I've pinpointed in myself before I was even a writer. Was I think a lot of my creativity in general stems from I come from an anxious place creatively. The brain is always what ifing. What if? What if this horrible thing happened that's completely unlikely? What if? What if? What if? What if? And it's not just creatively. It's in interactions. It's things I'm anticipating. I have to start work today. I have a meeting with somebody. What if they call me out on this thing I didn't do? Oh, what if this goes poorly? And I'm what ifing. A lot of these situations are very highly unlikely to happen, but like also creatively, I'm in a new location. I'm stimulated. My brain is what ifing with something new and exciting, and a lot of the inspiration comes from the strangest places. Um, I have a book called The Tickle Monster. The inspiration from that, we talked about Conan O'Brien earlier. He's one of my like comedy heroes. He has an ability to take a bit and run it into the ground to the point that you're almost just sick of him. And he just has the timing of knowing when to stop, but it's like just at that like you're ready to kill him kind of point. So when my son was like 12 years old, every household has an iteration of the Tickle Monster, and we were no different. And he was like 12 years old, and I'm telling him I'm doing the Tickle Monster thing, and tickling always turns into wrestling, and wrestling always turns into someone upset or crying. And at 12 years old, he's like, "All right, Dad, you're not as funny as you think you are." And like, that hurt me a little bit, but I had to pretend it didn't. And I was like, "Well, it's not funny now, but wait until I turn it into something terrifying." And then I couldn't stop thinking about what can I do to make the Tickle Monster absolutely terrifying.
Yeah.
And it turned into what it turned into. And that's a strange place to pull inspiration from and take a joke way too far.
I mean, I really like this. This question is probably, I told John this, I'm probably going to add this to my list of questions I'll be asking people, just because it's always strange to me. I think every idea I've ever had, they're all a little strange. It all comes from strange places. I mean, other than like, oh, I saw this in the news. I saw that is I guess common. But even then, the way that our brains twist those things and make them into the story, it's always going to be strange. It's always the how does that would inspire that? Oh, it's these 4 different disparate things that somehow spun together into one idea. But I mean, it's I don't know. It's fun to talk about.
Yeah, I like it.
I'm gonna ask you a question. Your question for my next guest.
Okay.
At the end of this segment, and give you a little bit time to stew around that in your brain.
Okay.
What is your grammar hot take?
All right. So I've thought about this.
Okay.
So I listen to the podcast, so I hear what everybody else says. So like, it was important to me not to repeat anything anyone has said.
Oh, you can. It's fine.
But I don't want to. I want to
Okay.
be different.
Okay.
So I feel like all of my hot takes are very petty.
I mean, that's fine too.
So I have 2 directions I could take this. I can take it strictly to grammar, and it's going to be one of those things where all the editors are going to be like, I don't know if that's right, and it's going to be one of those points where you can argue it, and I'm just not interested in arguing. Or I can use this as a moment to get on a soapbox and do something a little. I'm going to take this into hot take territory.
Okay.
So one of the like unspoken no-nos among writers and just publishing authors period is reviews are not for everybody, or they're not for the writer, they're for other readers. So we don't benefit from reading them, but some writers, it's hard to not want to look. I feel like reviewers, if they're going to have a review or an opinion on something, that they should just check themselves. So I have this one review that came to mind, and it was for this book, and it was a critical review just saying this book didn't have enough commas. And then I'm thinking, very specific call out. And then, but the review itself was written very poorly. Like, my immediate reaction was, I want to pick this review apart grammatically. not a lot of capitalization, if any, and like just
Yeah.
um yeah. So that
Not
that's
enough
kind of where my
commas?
brain went
Not enough
was
commas.
yeah, and I
I
started
didn't
like asking. I immediately got insecure and started
Oh,
asking
no,
people
you're
like, "This is
I
going through like five
I
drafts.
I
How
never
did you
noticed.
do this?"
I never noticed when, "Oh, no, this needed more commas." I mean,
Yeah.
there's always, like, I don't know, there's for any writer, when you're reading anyone else's work, you everyone's style and the way they intrinsically write is just gonna be different, and that is sometimes that's presented in, I wouldn't put a period there, or I would have had a comma, or I would have had a line break there, or a paragraph break, or whatever. Like, I would present this information in a slightly different way, but it's
Mhm.
not the right way. there's
Yeah.
there's there's a million ways to do it, and you just go, you take the book as it comes. Like, this is how they chose to, and like, as long as it's, there's clarity and intent. That's what I've been telling that to my revisions, my revisions class I've been teaching. Clarity intent. And if there's clarity and intent, then I'm not going to be too picky. Oh no, there's not a comma there, or there's not a period there, or there should be moved around. Honestly, I don't know. I'm always removing so many commas from my own writing between and revisions. I can't imagine someone reading one of my books and going, "Oh, this needed more commas." I'd be like, "Are you a crazy person?"
It, it might be one of the most annoying like reviews that I've gotten, and it wasn't even. It's not like it was like a 1-star review either. It was just like there were other like positive things said, but they were like there was like a level of snark to the positivity.
That's just some people, man. There's just some people who are just like, and again, they don't. There is an art to a good review, even if it's positive or negative. There is, like, I don't know. There is a league of people, of writers in any creative types. They're like, oh, critics, they just do it. They're a critic because they can't make the thing. And I'm like, well, I'm a critic. I have done that and will continue to do that in my life. And there is an art to a good critique piece because it lets you view a piece of art in a new way.
Mhm.
But it's a learned skill. You have to be good at writing. You have to be good at understanding art, things like that. I think the one review I've seen of mine that I actually hated the most, it just said, this book was this book was just dumb,
Not helpful.
not helpful. And like, and it gave it and it's like a 1-star review, and like, whatever. I'm not
Yeah.
my books have a good review average. I'm not really concerned about it. I just stumbled upon it. I wasn't really looking for it. I think I was trying to get reviews for ads, which is the thing. Like, I will sometimes have to pull 5-star reviews. Like, let's look at my 5-star reviews. Let's pull some blurbs.
Hmm.
I put in an ad for a book. But then I get one book that's like, this book is just dumb, and I'm like, what is that? How's that? Like, what does that mean? I know my book's not dumb.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, you can there's I look, you ask any writer, we know our books better than anyone.
Hmm.
And so if you want to pick at something, we know if it's legitimate criticism. We know, like, oh yeah, I had to sew that plot hole up, and that was the best solution I could come up with, things like that. But it's not a big deal. But I understand that. Not, this book is dumb. I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
thanks. Thank you very much. Too many commas. Not enough commas. I'm like, well,
Not enough
come on.
commas.
Not
Yeah.
enough commas.
And it's ironic because when I'm writing the entire time, I'm before that review, I'm thinking, am I doing commas too much? Like, am
Oh
I?
yeah.
I'm very like, what can I do to make this like? I don't know. Am I sticking to a style too? Like, I'm like very insecure as an artist. Like, it,
I mean, it's natural to question the style. Like, it is the I mean, that's all I don't know, that's what I'm searching for a lot of times, is like craft, like corralling my inherent style into its most perfect, beautiful form, whatever that may be, or not even most perfect, just in general, but like, for this project, for this book, what should it be? And that, I mean, I don't know, that it's good. I don't know. I always you should it. You got to release the book at some point, which I
yeah.
think is the problem. You can't just tinker forever, because you could easily just move furniture around. I know that's always the test, is like, am I just moving furniture around?
You'll never please everybody.
Yeah, that's.
Yeah.
Are you happy with it? Yeah. Do other people like it? Yeah, then you're good. Um, who is a writer more people should be reading?
So I'm going to give two answers. I'm going to give an indie author, and at the risk of some indie author friends getting upset,
That'll be fine.
because yeah, um, Alana K. Drex. Um, she's one of the first indie authors I read when I started writing more seriously, and she had just released her book, Sleeping Celeste, a little novella, grief horror about a mother losing her daughter. It's a period piece. Um, it might be the first time I was genuinely impressed by someone who I consider a peer, as I started reading more indie stuff. And I consider her a friend now. But I've read a couple other things by her, and I just continue to be impressed. And I think she's someone that deserves a lot more recognition for sure.
Okay.
And
I mean,
then
we follow each other. We're not. I would say we're friendly.
yeah,
Like I am with a lot of other indie people on social media. You're friendly, but you're not friends.
yeah. But she's definitely someone I would cheerlead. Everybody should check out her work. Her writing is so strong, and I don't think she gets enough praise for it. Um, but yeah, and then going a more traditionally published route, I'm going to say Paul Tremblay. Um, Paul, like he's somebody that has influenced my writing a lot, and as I started writing, he's kind of the first writer that I read who I felt like when I started writing more seriously, he gave me permission to use my own voice when I was busy reading articles and watching YouTube videos on form and technique and what's right, what's wrong, industry standard versus not, and then reading his book that's a traditionally published book that took a lot of risks, did things with ambiguity. I just felt like it gave me permission to just do what I want, like do what works for me. And someone at that platform who has movie adaptations from their work, I felt like, yeah, I'm going to do what I want. And I think more people should read him for that reason.
Yeah, I mean, it's for a long time. I don't know. There was that lull in broad horror, like horror novels had we had like it felt like in like the 2000s into the little bit into the teens, there was this not where horror novels shrunk, the market shrunk for some whatever odd reason, and Paul Tremblay was one of those guys who was there. He was the new name in that time and rode and helped build horror novels back up into what they're into. I feel like we're in a surge. I don't know what to call it. Like I don't know if it's ever been better, honestly. Like we have so much good horror right now. He's kind of I don't know. He's at this point, he's like
He's a modern master.
yeah, exactly. He's that kind of that exemplar.
Mm-hmm.
I was at a panel he was on. I went to a panel that he was on at last year Stoker, and he's also just a very nice man, a great
Yeah.
writer, obviously. What's the strangest video served to you in the algorithm?
That's a that's a new question.
It is a new
Um,
one. I just started using that one.
so this changes like every few weeks.
Yeah, whatever comes to mind.
This summer for me is represented by me showing up way too late to the Hamilton musical party.
Okay.
So right now, my algorithm is like 80% Hamilton.
Wow.
Um,
Okay.
just fans doing stuff, and it just went back to theaters. I saw it for the first time like in May, and for a long time I avoided it because it was just like that annoying popular thing, and I don't watch musicals. And then like I finally watched it, and I'm like, oh, I get it, I get it. And I've seen the movie like 4 times now. I am concerned that the Hamilton soundtrack might be my number one on Spotify this year, and I don't know how I feel about that, but you know what? I'm enjoying it, so like I just need to lean into it.
It's fine. Yeah. I don't know. I don't really have guilty pleasures anymore. People ask
Yeah,
about that. I'm like, oh no, I don't feel guilty about it. I
but
just sometimes I like trash.
yeah,
Hamilton's not trash, but I sometimes I'm like, oh, I like trash. Sometimes it's
it,
fine.
I guess it's like unexpected for me. Like, oh, this is so out of left field for me, and I'm really enjoying it. And it almost feels like me saying it feels like a joke, and it's legit. Like I'm singing these songs. Like
Yeah.
people in regular conversations say things, and it triggers a song in my head. And like if someone like a common expression is like, "Huh, must be nice," and then I'm immediately thinking, "It must be nice. It must be nice." Like,
I mean, I don't know. There's Hamilton. There's way worse things that could be filling your feed than
yeah,
just a bunch of Hamilton stuff. You know.
yeah. I'm thankful that I'm getting away from as much political stuff as I see.
Yeah, it's
But
tiring.
even
It's
though it's a
tiring.
political play, but it's just done in good
Yeah.
fun. But
Well, it was. I don't know. It's hundreds of years ago.
yeah,
It's that remove of, yes, of course it's about politics. It's about men and it's about the time period. And certainly that obviously echoes to today
hmm
because they created the country. But there's that remove and there's a lot of art in it as well. Like it's not just like, oh, here's people talking, yelling at the camera, which
yeah.
is the worst genre of video that exists.
It's a very genius play, and I'm so happy to see that kind of stuff from fans in my feed right now. So
Yes.
I don't know that it's strange, but I know that it's probably not the answer people would expect. So
I mean, I mean, I don't know. That's why I asked the question. That's why I've started using the question is that everyone's is so different.
yeah,
Everyone's like feed is so different from the next.
Mm,
And you're like, yeah, you tell a friend I just been getting all these videos. And they're like, why? You're like, well, I follow this other person, or hey, this is my wife's feed. I know what she's looking at. And Instagram knows we live together. They have, they know we are friends. We have all these connections. We message each other. They know, so they're going to give me that stuff too. We're going to get the same ads, but it's always so disparate, so strange. Um, let's see. What's the best piece of advice you followed?
so I don't remember who said this to me. It may have been several people over a couple years, but when I first started writing, I was watching a lot of videos and talking to a lot of other writers before I published anything. And something that really resonated with me was write the book that you're willing to read 100 times. And I think the first time I started the editing and proofing process, there's that. I'm a slow reader. So, it took me about 3 to 4 months to outline and write the first novel I did. And then there was, at least 2 months of reading and revisions and reading and then touching up. And, oh, I'm done with like the third set of changes. Let me read it again as a reader. And I learned very quickly that, oh, that is solid advice.
You're going to be reading it
Yeah.
so many
Don't
times.
write a book you're going to hate. Don't write about something you're not interested in. Write about
Yeah.
something that excites you because,
Yeah. You have to, again, I don't know. There's a period I kind of know when revisions are done is when I'm like, I'm starting to hate this. I
yeah,
hate my own book. I'm like, well, because I've read it 100 times in
you're
a
just
row. Is
over it.
why
Yeah.
I've like, I get it. Yeah, I know the story beats. Yes, I know every word exactly where it's supposed to be. But that is, I mean, it is a thing. Don't write what other people want. Like I feel like other writers have echoed that, and it's something I give advice to beginner writers is always like, write the thing you want to write. Don't write what you think is popular. Don't write what other people want you to write. Write the thing that really excites you because you're going to be in it. You're living in it, especially when you start publishing stuff. Oh boy, you gotta like even when I try and sell a book, if it's new, like that's the thing when like, oh, the book's done now, I gotta sell the book, and I'm tired of it. I'm
You're
like, I don't want
exhausted.
to
Yeah.
talk about it. I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to try and sell it, but I gotta. It's part of the job, man. Do you have a question for the next guest?
Yes.
Okay.
So we can take this broad, or let's keep it broad, keep it interesting.
Okay.
What is the last book you read that gave you a physical emotional reaction. That can be made you cry, made you get goosebumps, made you uncomfortable,
I really
made
like
you
that.
reflect on something in your life, made you somber, made you want to call a parent. Like, what is the last thing that really just hit you?
That's good. I like that question a lot. That might that also that's another candidate for getting added to the list. That's because there is that time when you get that visceral, like that's when that's when I know that a book's really powerful, is because you can actually feel it,
I,
like it's in your body.
I feel like a good like barometer of that feeling that I'm asking about is when you read something, you close the book and you stare at the wall for a second, and you immediately want to talk about it. Like, who do you message first and say, "Have you read this?" Like,
Yeah, there's always that there's those candidates of like, you need to go read this book so I can talk to you about it. I'm gonna buy you a copy
yeah,
so that you will read it, and then I can tell you about this, or we can talk about that, whatever it is. That's a good question. Um, let's move on. It's time for blood. It's time for trouble, for tribulation, either that be about a work in progress or with business, which seems to be the trend. I've been asking a lot of writers, and it's more about either about, oh, I wrote a book and it messed my brain up, or oh, business is bad. I hate the business of writing. So what do you got? You got anything?
I have a I have I have this idea I've been kicking around for about a year and a half that like I don't want to say anything about like what the story is, but I have this outline that I started, and I feel strongly about the premise and the hook and how I want to end it, the themes. But where I'm struggling is there is a scene that influences a massive change in what like the story direction, and I'm struggling with like character motivations to make it believable. So I've got like this like well formed set of bones, and I'm just trying to put the meat on and build this animal, and I'm just like really hung up on because it's essentially a two character story, a lot of conversation, inner monologue, and I've created things in such a way that ideas for motivations don't really fit the character, or so I'm like really hung up on that. And this is like one of those ideas that I've got an outline in a document, and I've been passively thinking about this for a while, and I want to start writing it because I think it's interesting. And I've done research on stuff that people always ask, "What's the weirdest thing in your search history?" This is one of those stories, and yeah, character motivation. That's something I'm really hung up on right now.
I would always say that write the scene the way it needs to be and worry about it in revisions.
That's the thing is I'm a plotter to a fault. Um, the thing I just wrote the first draft recently for a novella that I'd like to start shopping around, and I waited a long time to write it because I outlined like very fleshed out outlines, and what I did was I let the third act just be goalposts,
Yeah.
so that the first two acts can kind of let the third act take shape how I felt like it needed to. So I was experimenting with pantsing a little bit with, I know where this is going.
Right.
I know what I need to happen. And I like when I got there, I'm like, oh man, I've finished the draft and I need to rewrite an entire chapter because I had a better idea when I wrote the ending. And I'm like, oh, this will be so much better. And I'm going to do it, but I'm going to come back in the second draft. I'm going to read through it first because I haven't read anything I've written for this. It's like 35,000 words, and it could be absolute trash. I hope it's not, but
You'll fix it.
I'll
I don't know
fix it.
that
Yeah.
you'll fix it. I mean, that's the thing. I'm like always like that's a problem for future me. I'm not,
Yeah.
like I have to have, and I've done it. I don't know. Now that you have multiple books out, you've done it over and over again now, and it's always the thing where like if I try and instill that in like even people that publish nothing. I'm like, you have to have faith in yourself in the future.
Yeah.
You'll find the way out. You'll find that like, and it's like if that scene that you're talking about that needs the motivation, like sometimes in writing it, you find it. And like that method used, like where you kind of leave the third act a little bit formless, goalposts. That's
Mhm.
kind of what I'm like, basically every project I do that now. I used to
Yeah.
be much more strictly than outline. And now I'm like, well, yeah, I know that I'm going to hit these couple beats, but I'm probably something's going to change. I'm going to shift first, second act. I'll come up with an idea as I'm writing. And I want to and I'm like, it's not that I couldn't outline a third act or a last third of a story, whatever it is. It's
I spent
more
a lot
that,
of time up here writing before I
yes,
ever actually
exactly.
start typing, and
Yeah.
um, yeah, and it's just like before I put my fingers to the keys, I want to have like a very clear vision of what is my purpose with what I'm about to write and where do I want to take it. And as I've become a little more seasoned, and I'm still learning every time I write anything,
We all are.
but something I'm realizing about myself is like I really appreciate themes and stories that have something to say. It's too easy to write something just to write something. I really want to write a really gnarly scene, and like I feel like by the end, if you're just writing for that excitement to like, I wrote a short story earlier in the year. After I saw The Substance last year, I really, really wanted to write a transformation scene, but nothing I write caters to like body horror in that way. So I wrote this short story just to get to like this scene, and like it's not the most well received story that I published, but like because it's not saying anything, and
The
I
perspective
find
is important.
yeah, and I find when you're writing with a purpose and intent, something to say, something meaningful to take away from it, it resonates with people and it shows when they react to it. And I feel a lot more proud of it. Like people ask me what's my favorite book I've written. Like it's not even this book. It's DIY Exorcism. Like that was the first book I went into it with. Oh, I think there's something meaningful to be said here, and it centers around relevant themes today. And but then where pop stars go to die, it deals with like patriarchy and just reclaiming your life and things like that. It's a very empowering book for women, especially. So I think like having something to say that's why I'm up here a lot. Like, I've got the idea, I've got the hook, I've got the nuts and bolts I can do horror, I can do tension, but what am I saying?
Yeah.
And I think that is becoming a lot more important to me now than when I first started writing.
I mean, it's having that strong perspective, having having an opinion about your characters, about what they're doing, about what the book is, about the theme of what is the book about, right? It's not what's not the story, what's not the plot, what's the book about.
Yeah.
And a lot of times that's what sticks with readers. Well long after, like, the years later, they're thinking about that imprints
Yeah.
on them. It sticks.
I think the simplest way to kind of spin this too is like if you're familiar with Aesop's fables, like if you write a story with making it it's just a complicated parable, you you walk away from the story with a clear message. You know what that story was saying, and you have to chew on it a little bit after. I think that's a sign of a good storytelling.
Yes. And I mean, I don't know, the having the I don't know, there is you talk about how long you've had this outline and stuff, and there's a point to me where there were times where I'm trying to crack a story and I don't know what's the right path, what's the thing to do, and eventually I just lose patience and I just start, and I figure it out later. I am typically much more of a plotter than a pantser, but there are times where I'm like, well, I need to write this. You talk about finding like I need to find momentum. I need to have a drive towards what I'm writing. And if I wait too long, sometimes I feel like that excitement wanes. And
Yeah,
I need, like, coming back to, you have to be excited about your story.
yeah,
You have to be real. You have to be the number one fan. You
hmm,
have to be the person. You have to, I don't know.
you can't sell a car you don't like.
No, well,
You can't
yeah,
sell a car you wouldn't drive yourself.
no, exactly.
Yeah.
Um, Is that going to be the next project, do you think, or you had anything else before that you're having
I'm
trouble with?
working on something now, and
Okay.
I'm about to start revisions on it this week. So I'm waist deep in something that I'm currently like just all in on.
Right.
I can't work on multi projects, so um, but like I said, there's an outline that like physically exists. There's just this spot where I've highlighted the section orange where I'm
Right.
like, this sucks. What am I doing with this? What is
Oh,
she
no,
doing? Why
what
does
is she?
I need this to happen, but why would she do it? It makes no sense. All of this has happened up here. It's not consistent with that reaction, and I need that reaction to make sense.
Yeah. I mean, it's
So
always again, you could always just write it or I mean, there's always I don't know. This is the thing I do when I story beat is like, I will often, or outline is like, I have this very pivotal scene. It has to happen in the story for the story to function. And maybe I don't know why they're doing the thing yet, but then I'll just write, I'll have a chapter titled or a scene
up to
titled,
that point.
the reason, this happens later.
And that's exactly what the outline looks like right now.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly. And you're like, oh, well, I'll figure that out later.
yeah,
I'll write up to that point, and I'll find, sometimes you do find things about characters. You're like, oh, I didn't have that in mind. No, but that's better than what I did. So I got to use it.
yeah.
That is the way it needs to go. Um, we're running out of time. People should go buy Where Pop Stars Go to Die. It's
My kids
available.
need to eat.
Yeah, kids. Exactly.
My babies, feed my babies.
It's the old Heath Slater gimmick. Gotta feed my kids. Um, David, plug your stuff. Plug all your books. Tell people where they can follow you and find you online. I will try and add links to all this stuff in the show notes.
Well, let's keep it simple. Where Pop Stars Go to Die. It's new. People seem to love it. I certainly love it. It is a bloody, glittery mess with something to say. If you've not been listening to this entire conversation, you can find it at washburnwrites.com. I'll mail you copies if you buy from that store. It's on any website that you can get books from. And you can find me online at Washburn Writes. And yeah, I'm easy to find. I'm an easy man to find.
Yeah. I mean,
And I'm talkative.
Exactly. I make this joke all the time. I'm a novelist. I have a surplus of words.
Yeah.
I love to yap. I have a podcast just because of it.
Yeah.
It was great having you on. Thank you so much for being here, David.
Thank you so much. This was a great chat.